across Tasmania. This is Tas News 24 with Kane Dello.
Hello and welcome to the program. Well, it's official. News Corp says it will suspend printing of 60 community newspapers across Australia from April 9. The organisation has mentioned advertising revenues had rapidly declined after the restrictions placed on real estate auctions and home inspections and the forced closure of events and venues during the coronavirus pandemic. News Corp will now continue to publish digitally, with reporters still focusing on local news content. The move follows the news of closures to several Victorian independent newspapers last month as a result of the decline in revenue due to the pandemic. With the ongoing situation surrounding COVID-19 within Australia, and indeed right here in Tasmania, people have become concerned with media reports that are being published by newspapers across the state, and comments being made to members of the public by reporters who have not bothered to contact the correct authorities to ascertain whether the information they are providing to people of Tasmania is true or false. These actions by the reporters are only exacerbating the emotions and tensions that are being felt throughout all communities in Tasmania. We recently received information from several people who stated that the state political reporter for the Mercury newspaper in Hobart, David Killick, recently made comments to people that Tasmania police were pulling over people in Launceston to conduct employment roster checks and confirming if they were permitted to be out in public. This, of course, placed a great deal of concern for many people, fearing if they didn't have their roster on them, they would be fined. We contacted Tasmania Police, who advised us this had not been an action they have implemented nor have carried out, and most certainly advised members of the public to disregard such nonsense. Tasmania Police also said it's disturbing that reporters continue to amp up stories to make a headline. Reporters have a duty of care to the public in reporting correct information to the public, especially when it revolves around an already worrying situation. It is concerning that a mainstream media newspaper allows their reporters to foster behaviour that fuels panic and worry within the communities who are already concerned with the COVID-19 issue. We did contact News Corp for comment. They declined to be interviewed. A man who was a part of a police evade through the northern suburbs of Launceston this morning is still on the run. The man who was being chased by police ran into a vehicle dealership on Invermay Road shortly before 9 a.m. We were told police tried to stop the suspect as he then stole another vehicle from the dealership. The man then escaped in the stolen vehicle and police gave chase. Anyone with any information is urged to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. The situation surrounding COVID-19 in Australia and indeed Tasmania continues to rise. Tasmania now has 74 cases of people testing positive to COVID-19, and across Australia it stands at 5,279 cases, and sadly 28 people have died. Back home in Tasmania, all but 2 cases have been linked to travel or contact with a known COVID-19 case. The investigation into the origins of 2 cases, both detected in Devonport, are almost at completion. Intense contact tracing processes are being undertaken and a number of final pathways or links are being explored. The school term in Tasmania finishes today, 5 days early, and teachers will next week have student-free days to prepare for online and at-home learning delivery. Earlier this week, the government said the physical school attendance rate had dropped below 10% and expected numbers to continue to fall as the situation of COVID-19 continues. Premier Pete Gutwein said Tasmania's daily increase of COVID-19 cases were at about 5% and was below the national average of 7%, and said it was important that the community continue to adhere to social distancing measures. On Wednesday, the department issued a list of popular tourist sites which an interstate pair had visited as part of an ongoing and organised tour, and they were unaware they were contagious. Destinations included the Port Arthur Historic Site, Mona and Cradle Mountain Visitor Centre. Public Health Services said it had been in contact with a number of tourism and hospitality businesses after being alerted by an interstate health department of the 2 people who presented with positive diagnosis of COVID-19. The department said anyone who was at the tourism locations on the same day as the pair who have developed or develops respiratory symptoms in the 14 days after, they should contact the Public Health Hotline on 1800 671 738. Now, with global cases of COVID-19 still continuing to rise and has now passed over 1 million cases, and currently the deaths recorded globally are at 53,198. Australia is still very much a part of making up the global statistic, but spare a thought for many who are struggling in the United States as the country's medical department are struggling and more people are dying. It's here we share a story from Stephanie Myars, a freelance reporter who filed this report.
Mount Sinai Emergency Room in New York City. Dr. Matthew Bai begins his shift.
You can see all the rooms are filled. Usually these halls are very neat and empty. And now you can see there's patients everywhere because of this. Makes it very hard to work.
Concerned for his family's safety, Bai no longer lives at home. He doesn't know for how long.
This is too much.
Sheena Tanis, a critical care nurse in Brooklyn, chronicles her grueling day.
It is 11:15 and I'm still in the room with the patient. Doing dialysis. I'm managing drips. Managing the ventilator. It's not easy.
The healthcare workers in coronavirus hotspots are exhausted. Hundreds are sick themselves. And while there are concerns about protective gear and life-saving equipment, another shortage looms: the staff themselves.
We were short-staffed today. Every manager from our unit came in, and they chipped in and they did everything they could.
Tens of thousands are volunteering, answering a call to help in New York, like 32-year-old nurse Jessica Fink from New Mexico, who just started working at a New York ICU.
I have specifically pulmonary critical care experience, so if anybody should be helping, it should definitely be me.
For the nurses and doctors who get sick, a desire to get back on the job with possible immunity.
You'll feel like you're invincible because you can deal with this crisis without anybody having to worry. No matter what happens, we never work from home. This hospital, this profession, we're in a league of our own.
But also human. At the end of the day, there is little left to give.
It's 12:19 and I just parked my car coming home from the shift. My face is breaking out from the mask. I look like I've aged 20 years in 2 weeks. This is too much. I don't know how much longer I could do this.
Health experts say the height of the pandemic is yet to hit. The call for reinforcements may get louder.
Stephanie Myars there reporting. The federal government's rollout of the $750 cash stimulus payment that commenced from the 31st of March has finally started making its way across the nation. We have received many emails from people who have said they have not received their payment. We can provide this update to you. People who are eligible for the $750 payment will automatically receive their payment directly into their account that is associated with Centrelink. This payment will be made before the 13th of April. Now let's take a look at the state's weekend weather forecast. In Hobart today, it was partly cloudy and reached a top temperature of 19. Tonight, Hobart's looking at a low of 14. Saturday, a high chance of showers throughout most of the day, looking at a top of 15 and a low of 6. Sunday will have the same conditions, showers early in the morning, looking at a high of 12 and a low of 7. In Devonport today, got to 17 degrees, very cloudy conditions and looking for an overnight low of 12. Saturday, showers mostly in the afternoon, looking at a top of 14 and a low of 7. Sunday, wet conditions again are expected to form early in the morning with rain continuing throughout the day, looking at a top of 13 and a low of 8. In Launceston today, the weather was mostly cloudy with some sunshine making an appearance. It reached 19 and tonight looking at a low of 12. Saturday, there will be showers throughout the day, looking at a top of 14 and a low of 6. For Sunday, the rain will be sticking around Launceston and is looking for a high of 12 and a low of 6. Well, that's our program for this evening. Until next week, take care of yourself and others. Bye for now.